As we continue, conflicting absenteeism figures tonight from the Education Ministry and Tutor on the first day of a two-day sick-out by teachers. Tutor says 75% of all teachers heeded its call to stay away from classes, but the ministry puts the figure somewhat lower at 50%. Notwithstanding that discrepancy, we found that several schools across the country were severely affected. Some even had to close their doors. Chester Zambrano has more.
Closed books, empty classrooms. The result of industrial action taken by the nation's teachers in protest of the pace of salary negotiations. The Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association is deeming the first day of the two-day sick-out a success, as it boasts that a majority of teachers heeded its call to stay home. First Vice President of the union, David Ansinanan, tells CNC3 News that approximately 75% of teachers stayed away from classes.
In the Caroni district, it is around 80%. In the Northeastern Education District, around 82%. In the Tobago district, it is more like 80%. In the Victoria district, it seems to be around 73%. In the Southeastern district, it is about 80%. And in the Port of Spain district, about 75%.
Sinanan also commends parents for keeping their children at home.
Approximately 80 to 85% of the students stayed away from school throughout the country.
This was the scene at many of the nation's schools on Thursday, forced to close their doors for a lack of teachers and also a lack of students. Tutor President Rooston Job says the action by teachers would intensify if their concerns are not addressed.
Reluctantly, we may have to take some other form of action. I can guarantee you that.
The Ministry of Education tells the CNC3 News that based on its assessment, 50% of teachers stayed away. It admits to being concerned that children are the ones who are suffering as a result of the protests. The ministry says the measures which it put in place to ensure minimum disruption at schools will continue on Friday, when teachers are again expected to stay away from the classrooms. I am Chester Zambrano, reporting for CNC3 News.
Meanwhile, teachers and parents of the Scarborough RC Primary School were protesting this morning the delay by the Tobago House of Assembly to have the school reopened. The school was due for repairs over the holiday period, but not enough has been done.
More school problems. This time in Tobago, the Scarborough RC School remains closed without much repairs done over the holiday period.
There was an area of the flooring in one of the Standard 1 classes that was collapsing. As a result of that, the teachers decided that that area is unsafe and they're not going to be working.
The parents are feeling the hurt. With nowhere to send their children, they tell us that they must find babysitters or take their kids to work. They say work on the school is long overdue.
This school has been built since about 1940. My father went to this school, he taught at this school, it's still in the same condition. And the classes are overcrowded, there are no places to put their lunch bags, their bags have to be on the ground. I was here over the August vacation. The only work that has been done is to tile 2 sinks.
The THA Secretary for Education, Whitney Alfred, says the school is to be rebuilt and that in the meantime only a modicum of repairs would be done.
You are going to do enough repairs to allow the school to be usable and to ensure the health and safety of the pupils, the teachers, and the parents. But you are not going to do very extensive repairs when you know that the school is to be replaced.
But THA Minority Leader Ashwood Jack says funds have long been allocated for construction of the school without anything being done. Scarborough RC is a government-assisted school that falls under the Catholic Board.
To some other news now, workers at the National Flour Mills Carson Field operations have set up a camp to protest health and safety conditions in the workplace. Otto Carrington tells us more.
Workers say production at the National Flour Mills in Carsonfield has slowed down for a number of reasons, and they are demanding that NFM management fix their health and safety concerns at the Carsonfield site. Led by the representing Seaman and Waterfront Workers Trade Union, the protesting workers have pitched camp and been off the job since Monday in protest. Shop steward Ed Eastman says they face many problems at the plant and workers' health and safety are at risk.
We have a problem with pigeon droppings. Right, we have a problem with lighting in the night. You know this area, this Castle Field, and you know the reputation of this area. And if people look around the compound, you'd see that you have hardly any lighting fixtures and workers work here in the night. We have some health and safety concerns, and right about now, the branch president, which is Mr. Peter Morris, we decide to take a stand concerning these health and safety concerns.
The Carson Field site is a warehouse and distribution center for NFM, and workers say this industrial action could spread to other outlets of the national flour mills unless management meet their demands. The workers will continue their action on Friday.
As soon as the management deal with some of these concerns or give us the assurance that these concerns will be dealt with. You understand? So it could end this evening, it could continue tomorrow, please God.
CNC3 News contacted the National Flour Mills Company on the matter, and NFM is expected to release a statement on the current issue. I am Otto Carrington reporting for CNC3 News.
Meanwhile, the Corporate Communications Officer at National Flour Mills, Kevin Field, says that the workers' action did not affect operations, but he assures that their concerns are being looked at. He says the decision by the workers to set up a camp may also be due to the breakdown in negotiations. He says NFM management is reviewing the workers' proposals. Days after heavy rains led to thousands of dollars in losses for Manzanilla fishermen, an assurance by their Member of Parliament, Colin Partap, that relief is on the way. We have more from Melissa Williams.
Manzanilla fishermen were left pleading with the authorities for help following rough seas and heavy rains early Monday morning that cost them tens of thousands of dollars in losses. Several boats sank and the fishermen lost nets and other valuable tools of their trade. But 3 days later, MP for the area Colin Partap, along with the councillor Ben Sudin, met with the fishermen and listened to their issues and concerns. Some, though, were sceptical when it came to the promise of help.
You always say about trying and talking. No, you really trying. We trying. Put it forward and talking, but you know things just take some time to get done. But now it's about 2 years now. Well, I taking care of it now for the last how much months, Ben? About 3 months. We had a little confidence in Jack Warner, but confidence gone clear. He no longer there, so he can't do nothing over here again.
But the MP, who admits that Manzanilla fishermen are worse off now than they were 2 years ago, assures that all their estimates regarding their losses will be taken care of through the assistance of the Self-Help Commission and the Ministry of the People. But the Kumoto Manzanilla MP says plans are afoot to construct a fishing depot, which will see fishermen no longer having to transport their catch to the market for sale.
We came here 2 years ago, right before the local government elections, and things have gotten worse since then. We are starting the process. I spoke to the Minister in the Ministry of Agriculture, Mr. Jairam Simongal, last night while at Parliament, and he assured me that once the land is state land, he would have his team sent down here by next week to take a look at the area.
The MP says while the depot is being built, other immediate measures will come on stream to assist the fishermen. I am Melissa Williams reporting for CNC3 News.
Well, we made you a promise last evening, and tonight we are going to deliver on that promise. Tonight we bring you a report from Otto Carrington and cameraman Neil Romaine after their visit to the El Socorro Center for Wildlife Conservation. The center is seeking to raise awareness about wildlife and how it can be preserved.
How many of us take the time to understand our indigenous species in Trinidad and Tobago? The El Socorro Center for Wildlife Conservation, through its efforts, are attempting to share knowledge to citizens about wildlife. On Wednesday, I visited the Conservation and Rehab Center in Freeport, a location that can only be accessed through an appointment. Most of the animals at the center were either rescued from the illegal animal trade, left for dead, or abandoned by the owner, who cannot afford to maintain their exotic pets anymore.
We've been around for just about 8 years now, and we started in El Socorro. Only about a year and a half now, we've moved down to Freeport. Our aim is to educate the public about wildlife conservation, do wildlife rehabilitation when animals encounter people and they end up on the wrong end and are injured or orphaned, as well as to do some propagation.
The center has snakes, leatherback turtles, birds, monkeys, ocelots, a pelican, even a donkey and iguanas, which I held for the first time.
Not for food, for conservation.
the center has successfully bred and rehabilitated animals back into the wild. Director Jia Narang Singh says the number of wild indigenous animals are dwindling and this needs to be addressed.
The numbers are so few in the wild and the breeding has now become centralized. We have doubts as to whether cousins are breeding with cousins, whether there is really good genetic diversity.
The centre is not funded by the state and most of the funding is raised on its own. I am Otto Carrington reporting for CNC3 News.
I tell you, Otto always has all the fun. Well, time now for What You Saw, where we highlight the video and the photos. You send us to the address news@cnc3.co.tt.
Our first video is from Rachel, and not a very happy one. Rachel says a vehicle hit a pedestrian, causing him to collapse motionlessly in the middle of Pinto Road in Arima, in the vicinity of Franklin's Bar. The driver of the vehicle, Rachel says, quickly drove off. The man was still breathing. Rachel says, I called 911 and the dispatcher answered immediately. Police and an ambulance arrived simultaneously on the scene within 8 minutes of the call. She says, I hope that the man lives, and adds that the emergency services are to be congratulated on their prompt response. The people in the street were instrumental in protecting the man from oncoming vehicles. And then from Satyam, who says, half an hour rain and once again Arangwe's farmlands underwater, and yet the authorities cannot clear water courses. Food prices will increase. And finally from Fazia, saying water in drains will level with the road in North Valsain following some rain yesterday.
That's What You Saw. Certainly not one of those What You Saws that we certainly enjoy here, but of course if it's important to you, we are happy to also show it back to the public. You too can send us what you think is important to you to the address news@cnc3.co.tt. And that's all from me. It's back to Golda and Roger.
Thank you so much, Samson. And it's time to remind our viewers of the question that you're voting on this evening in our Your Vote. And that question is, do you believe that increasing the powers of the Integrity Commission will make a difference in the fight against corruption? Now, to vote yes, text Y, and to vote no, text N to the number 2623, and we'll tell you how you voted at the end of tonight's newscast. We encourage you to get involved. It's time for sport now with Roger Sands. Roger.
Yes, thank you very much, Golda and Samson. After this short break on the Sportscast, the Windies batsmen struggle in their warm-up defeat to Sri Lanka today. Brian Lara to be inducted into the ICC Hall of Fame. 8 clubs to compete in the 2012-2013 TT Pro League. Keyshawn says life has not changed that much since winning gold. And the combat TT sport team for Colombia.